Why is there a trade on here? Is there a trade on here? Oh, I have a buy limit set. Oh, okay. I forgot. So yeah, like I said, I thought you know, crypto is not as dramatic as Forex. So like I said, I was expecting a little bit more of a pullback from Ethereum. I didn't trade Ethereum today, but I just want to take a look at it because there is. Yeah, I mean, it still could possibly do this because it looks like it is getting exhausted, right? I said this yesterday whenever right around in here that what could happen is that since it is, I mean, this trend line is starting to peter out. It's not so much a trend line anymore, right? It's starting to fall to the wayside, right? Starting to get cut through. But there is kind of still of a guidance area, I guess you could say. So there is still kind of liquidity in this area. Also, you still have that one part where it fell down to around 1120, where it bounced from, and then it fell down to it almost again today. Where was that? About 1140 it fell down to. I'm thinking it could get down to about 1075, right? I think that's where I have my buy limit set, because that would get right. So you have, let me close this up. So let me take away this line here. So why do I think it's gonna get that low? I could and then start buying again. Well, if we want, I'm fairly bullish, okay, on Ethereum. Two, we have to think about areas of liquidity, right? So first, it made these two equal highs, right? I knew it was going to pass up through there, right? So boom, there it goes, passes up through there, makes two equal highs again, boom, passes up through there. So here, not so much equal highs, but you can, you know, if it falls down, it drops below these lows, right? So to where people might have their buy limit set, right? Probably right above that, thinking that this is going to be the stop loss. Boom, goes through that. So kind of the same idea, right? Except for it's just a little bit lower. People think that right here might be the area to buy from. Right here would be your stop loss, right? Instead, it would probably still go through that. And then hit this area here because of this little candle here. There is a, what I call it, area of displacement, right in this area. So these are the kind of candles you have to look for. It's going to be your last down push, right, before your big up push, right? So here you have a small consolidation. In that small consolidation, you have a basically where somebody could just, you know, basically like I said yesterday, they just drop a big pile of cash on the floor, right? They just drop a bunch of it, and then everybody wants to just run and buy up all that cash, right, or whatever, or crypto, I guess you could call it. So they drop it all down, right, and then they buy it all back up because it's all just laying there, and you know, so they push it down really quick to get a discount, and then they push it right back up, and then boom, it takes off. So so what they're basically doing, and they may, you know, the theory behind this, right? And I'm not for sure if this is still happening, but it probably could be because this has made people a lot of money recently. That what has happened is that there is a short position right in here, right, to where they had sold, right, but they have enough money to hold on to it, right? So they're in the red, and they're in the red really deep. The whole point is to get back to that area, right, to where they sold in the first place, They sold to get to a good point so to where they could buy, right? To just get a little bit extra, so where they can where they started buying, it would, you know, make their pocketbooks a little bit more fatter, way more fatter than what it would have been had they just taken off and bought, right? So that's kind of the little clues that they give you, right? Um, but instead, it may not have been from that point. You know, like I said, since it already has dropped below this area here, it may have been from one of these areas. I am not 100% sure, but generally, this is kind of the things that you look for. This is an area that you would look for it to return to, just to close up, you know, that period to where they sold and then, you know, bought really quickly. So we wait for it to return to that area, and then once it returned to that area, what do they do with that trade? They close it out and then they buy, right? Or they could have, you know, I mean, with crypto, that's the thing about crypto, is that sometimes things are so instantaneous, is that they may have been able to push that sell and then buy just as quickly as releasing the sell. Usually that doesn't happen, because if you're putting more money in, right, to boost up the sell than what you did to push down, by the time you actually put in the buy, you're already in the negative, right, from when you put in the sell. So unless they just went ahead and took a small loss right after that, you know, it may not be returning to that area, which is possibly what could have happened, right? But people usually don't like to take those kind of losses. They will somehow force their way back to this area that where they don't have to take that loss, right? At least that's what we see in the forex world. Um, see, like and that's the thing, is that you have all these areas of liquidity, which also make me think that as well. So you have like these equal lows here, right? So this is an area where people think it would come back. If it came back to it, they would start buying from, and instead it would just push through, right? And it would push through to the area where it first pushed down and then up. All right, so you have two of these kind of areas. You have another one here, right? This, people see this as a support now, right? Because it fell back down to this zone, kind of lays on top of this one, not so much, but a little bit. So, but let's just say that doesn't happen, right? That's just right now, that's honestly wishful thinking. But yeah, I still have my buy limit set for that, as you can see. What would Ethereum be doing now? To be honest, I think it's getting a little exhausted. As you can see, the RSI has. I usually don't look at you know, indicators or anything like that, but you know, sometimes you kind of have to, depending on what's going on with the market. You can see it definitely got a week. I usually use a double RSI. I use one that's a 14 period and one that's a 29 period. The 14 period will give you kind of the sharp movements that happened. 29 period will be one that's a little bit more smoother. So you can kind of see, you know, what's happened to it, you know, overall and within a short-term sense, right? So, you know, there's really no divergence. So I would assume that it's still bullish. At least I'm not spotting any divergence. I am on the 5 minute. Let me check the 1 hour here. Probably where I should be checking divergence. Well, yeah, actually there kind of is. I forgot about this big part right here. So this huge area right here, and definitely way oversold, right? And it was pulling back by the time I got to here. But it was still going down. But here it was oversold. Oversold, boom, there we go. And that was the last one. At that point, you can see it's going to go down, or you can see it's going to drop. Strength still not there. But it still is. I mean, it's still on it's still above 50, right? Yeah, the 15 or the 14 and the 29 period are still both above the 50. Um, here you have a high. Here you have another high. Here you have a high. Here you have another high. I still think it's bullish. So you just had a good run up here that kind of brought it down and exhausted it out for a little bit. But we also got to think about where we are, and I think I even drew these periods out previously, if I'm not mistaken. No, maybe not. That's just where my zones are. Let's check out. And sorry, I'm going back in time to find out. Um, you know, what were the previous levels? And it looks like where's the price at right now? 12.15. It's hovering right around this high, so I think that's why it has probably kind of exhausted itself out. So let's go ahead and highs I like to do blue. It matches my MT4. High. I'll just put high. Hi, hello there. All right, so that would be high. Let's actually put a date to it as well. What was that? January 28th. Hey, that's not too far away from 28th. What I mean by equal highs is that there's basically two candles side by side, equal highs, plus, there's not too much of a difference in between this candle and this candle. $10. That's enough for liquidity to draw toward it. So now that we have all that kind of mapped out, let's check out where we're at. Oh, come on. Isn't there like a faster way of doing this? Like there's gotta be. Alright. Alright, let's check out the 4-hour structure here. Let's get rid of some of these. Alright, so boom. Hit both bearish breakers. So that's probably what is causing this retraction right now. So comes up, boom, hits the bearish breakers, retracting, right? Your last down up push, it's already hit it, right? Would have been this guy over here, right, in a 4-hour sense. But it could be pushing down even further, right? So if that's the case, that's why I'm looking at where I'm looking at, right? You may be a little bit higher, but then again, you also have that area of liquidity right here, I don't think it would just go to this area of liquidity and then stop and then turn around and go this way. I think it would take out another area of liquidity as well. Right, I think I could get down into this red candle. This is the candle that you want to be looking at. Like I said, there's a red candle within this red candle, right? And that's the candle that I pointed out. I said that this is the candle I think it's probably going to come down to. And now looking at it on a 4-hour sense, I definitely think if we're going to have any kind of drawback, especially a major one, this is the area I would definitely be looking toward before we see some positive action, right? So around 1075. But who knows what you could see. you could see a little bit of a dramatic drop, right? And then you could see a big pump up really quick, right? And whenever you see that, whenever you see an engulfing, like engulfing candle like this, right? Generally, whenever it drops back down to the bearish candle, right? It'll usually bounce off of that, right? It'll usually bounce off of that and then keep going up. And so far, it doesn't look like there has been a close below this bearish candle. So far, that is good news. So we might start seeing it tick up right now. Right now, I'm personally not taking, well, especially trading Ethereum, I'm not taking any chances on it. I just have a buy limit set here, that's all. And I have that set in Robinhood as well. Just like in case it comes down here, I can invest, a certain amount. That way I'm not investing way up at the top and then losing out a huge percentage when it does, fall down. Most of my percentage that I want to invest is set aside for, this area down here. If it doesn't hit it, then I'll wait for another time. But generally, it's more about the percentage that you can save than it is about where the money's at right now. Right. So it's really, it's all you can really say about Ethereum right now is it's at a level to where you should see a bounce, right, and then start to rise. It's at that level, but it also came up underneath those breakers, right, from 2018, and it already went through those highs from the 2018, those midterm highs, went through those highs, and then now it's inside, basically. If you think about the big apparatus that had those highs, right, up in here, and those areas that came down, right, so it looked like this, had the high, came down, and then hit right here, came up another high, and then came down, pumped up, and then went like that. So whenever you think about those kind of areas from back in 2018, once it comes up underneath and it hits that same kind of price action, that's going to kind of stop it from propelling forward, right? And that's what you would see in normal price action too. If I can find maybe a real life example here. Like this. Here you go. So you have see it comes down, it pulls down, then it pushes up, right, and then it falls down below it, and then it comes back up, and as soon as it comes back up to the same level, boom, it gets rejected again, right? So at least that's what I see out of this candle. You can see that it came all the way down, but then it came back up, right, and then got rejected again. So came back up to this level, got rejected, right, and then started finally pushing its way back up and out of it. So that's what it could be doing right now, is that it came up underneath that candle from way back when. Boom, came up underneath it, boom, got rejected, right, and now it could be trying to come back up and out. Or since this is that very big area, this is an area to where a lot of people could be, I'm seeing all kinds of stories about people taking profits and paying off, their debts that they've had for years. They're debt free now. They don't have to worry about anything. So you could be seeing a lot of people looking at what they have that they've invested in, most of their, all these people that believed in crypto for so long. And now, Bitcoin hits 40,000. And Ethereum's almost at a new all-time high, and people are probably invested somewhere $20,000-$30,000 of it prior to this year, and now within a couple months they're millionaires. So instead of actually sticking with it and holding on to it, they're gonna say, I'm in a crazy time right now. I don't know what's gonna happen next, but I want to make sure I have a roof over my head. And I want to make sure I have some money for food, something of that nature, right? But you could be seeing a lot of people cashing out right now, and waiting to see what's going to happen next. So you could see the slide down a little bit more. And if you do, like I said, I'm looking at this area right here around 1075, 1080, right? Probably, you know, at the very least 1115. All right, that's going to be the top of your order block, right? It's actually 1114.24, right? So that whole area in there is going to be the area to, for me, I think, to watch, right? So I'm just going to draw this out for good old sake. I don't know why that just popped up. I think this is where Ethereum may pull back to. I mean, who knows? It took off like a bat out of hell. I mean, it didn't even look twice after it, you know, got past 800. I mean, I was trading it down here at 732. I remember I pulled up, you know, I think the other night. I was bought at 732, and I was just throwing in, you know, momentum lots of wait until it got to 757. And then I got out of that trade because I saw the liquidity there, and I was like, all right, it's up out of there. I'm probably going to stop soon. And, you know, it didn't. It just kept going and going and going and going. And, yeah, now it's at almost 1300. Crazy. Yeah, as you can see, yeah, it's starting to fall a little bit more. So we shall see. I don't know. We'll see what happens with Ethereum. That is, you know, let's actually get into a 1 hour. I mean, that's kind of an overall kind of look at it. We get on the 1 hour. Here it looks a little bit more promising, right? Let me put this here. It looks a little bit more, well, it already did bounce off of that, so I don't know about that. Never mind. Bounced off of that area a couple times. So here would be your last, you know, bullish breaker if you really wanted to see it start take off. So after, you know, pushed down from here, came up, they hit the bearish breaker, right? Boom, hit the bullish order block, right? Came back up, came back down, hit the bullish order block, came back up. It's also came back down and hit the bullish order block again. So this line right here at 12:15, it has hit 3 times at least. And that would be where I would think it would come down into and then take off from there. But if it goes through that, right, then you're going to look for it to come back up underneath it and then hit it and then probably drop off. And if it does that, then I would be looking toward this area. So it's interesting what's happening to Ethereum right now. That being said, we'll come back to it maybe. And so we did. And we came back to it. Okay, so I'm not really talking through this because it's late at night. I'm about to go to bed, and I'm going, look, I entered the trade. It came right down to my entry that I was talking about before this video. Came down right into that 1073, right, the entry point, and then it just shot right up. And so I go, you know what? I made about 1,000 pips on this, close to $100, 100 Ethereum dollars, more than that actually. But so I decided to close out partial trade, right? So I take whatever I have and I close out 3/4 of it. It was 20. I put it down to 15. So I left a trailer of about 5 lots, and then I go back and to make sure I don't lose any money, I go and change my stop loss to the entry point. Maybe I could have put it a little bit above, you know, if I wanted to make a little bit extra if it came down to it. But if it came down to it, maybe, you know, it bounced back up. You know, I could have had a little bit of a better chance. But instead, I just let the extra lot float off up into the highest point, which was at 12:15. And there I say I made a good trade. you like seeing my face get smashed in like this. No, but if you want to learn about like smart money and learning how to time the markets and things like that, please hit the like button, hit subscribe. It definitely helps me cut through the YouTube algorithms and gets people to see my content. Thank you very much and enjoy. Any advice or information on this website is general advice only. It does not take into account your personal circumstances. Please do not trade or invest based solely on this information. By viewing any material or using the information within this site, you agree that it is general education material and you will not hold any person or entity responsible for loss or damages resulting from the content or general advice provided here by bodies and wicks. Its employees, directors, or fellow members, futures, options, and spot currency trading have large potential rewards, but also large potential risk. You must be aware of the risk and be willing to accept them in order to invest in the futures and options markets, as well as Forex. Don't trade with money you can't afford to lose. This website is neither a solicitation nor an offer to buy, sell, trade futures, spot forex, CFDs, options, or other financial products. No representation is being made that any account will or is likely to achieve profits or losses similar to those discussed in any material on this website. The past performance of any trading system or methodology is not necessarily indicative of future results.